What is up, everybody? Jester here, and today I'm back in the long dark. Recently, I came back to the game after a small hiatus, and I started a brand new Voyager run right here on YouTube for a live stream. If you guys would like to be a part of that journey, subscribe to the channel. It's just in the little red box below, and hit the notification bell to let you know when I go live. Currently, we're in the middle of the tales. We just got finished with Signal Void, which is part 1. We're going into part 2 now, at least at time of filming. I know that doesn't age well if you watch this a year from now, but that's where we're currently at. So I'd love to see you in the stream. And recently I've met a whole lot of new players, and I think the reason for that is because the game recently went on sale. So there's a lot of new people coming in, which is fantastic for the game. And I've been getting the question quite a bit about food and what I think are the best travel foods. So I spent several hours this morning setting up the smorgasbord that you see in front of you to try to explain what I think are not only the best travel foods, but also the foods maybe you'd want to eat right away, or maybe some of the stuff you'd be working towards, whether it be early game or mid game. And I think this is going to be really good for the new players, but even being a fairly experienced player myself, even I learned something when I started breaking these down into subsections that I hadn't really thought about before. So maybe even there's a little something for you experienced players to learn here. We've got a ton to talk about today, so let's get into it. Before I get into our first subcategory of foods, I do want to mention a couple of quick things. Number one, this isn't the live stream save. This is actually a custom save that I came in and did separately this morning. It took me about 6 or 7 hours to put all these food items together, go out and find them. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments, because I did make an absolute effort to get one of everything to show you and be able to categorize it, especially for your experienced players. But again, I think I pretty much got everything except for the one thing I know I missed, and we'll talk about that later. Number two, your results are going to vary on this, because as you go up in difficulties from, say, Voyager to Stalker to Interloper or Misery, these things become more rare in the game. So your results, again, are going to vary as far as getting these things in volume enough to really worry about the calories per kilo, which is what we're concerned about today. That being said, the first category is what I'm calling liquid neutral, meaning you eat these, you get calories, it doesn't affect your water meter in any way. The first of which is probably the most well-known and popular survival food in the game, being the cattail stalks. These are 150 calories a piece, and they weigh 0.05 kilograms, meaning that to get to a full kilogram, you would have to have a stack of 20 of these in your inventory, and that's going to be worth 3,000 calories. Pretty good survival food all in all. You want to probably, especially in the beginning, no matter the difficulty, get yourself up to that, say, 20 stack. It's only a kilo carry weight, and it's going to make you survive for at least a day or two. You get stuck in a cave during a blizzard, it's good to have these to chew on, but again, it doesn't necessarily add or subtract any water for you. Next up, we want to talk about maple syrup. This isn't quite as available as the cattail stalks, but they are 850 calories, and they're about a third of a kilogram, 0.3. When you put 3 of these into your inventory, it'll be 0.9, and that's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,550 calories. Again, the problem here is going to be availability. Finding these in bulk isn't really a thing. There's maybe 15 or 20, 25 of these in the game, even on Voyager. But if you have some of these per kilo, it's not too bad. It'll last you about a day and a half or 2 days. Next up are MREs. These might even be more rare when it comes to availability. Even on Voyager, pretty rare. There is one cache, the food cache, on the lower difficulties, where you can get a bunch of these at once. These are 1,750 calories per, and it's half a kilogram, meaning you get 3,500 calories per kilogram. So pretty good stuff, but again, pretty rare. Next up is going to be something that I do recommend, because you're going to find these all over the place, the energy bars. 500 calories, and you're thinking, oh, well, that's not all that good, but they only weigh 0.1 kilograms, meaning 10 of these will go in your inventory for 1 kilogram, 5,000 calories. That's good for several days worth of food if you can get them 10 at a time in your inventory, and they don't take water away from you, which is really pretty nice. Our next category is going to be what I call the liquid negative category, meaning you're going to get full caloric intake for these, but you're going to lose water. So if all you have is something from this category, make sure you have plenty of water, because if you let that run out, you're going to end up losing condition, and that's not always a great thing. Get started with, we're going to talk about the chocolate bar, nuts and stuff. 250 calories per at 0.1 kilograms gives you 2,500 calories per kilo carry weight. not too bad. Even better is going to be the granola bar at 300 calories, 0.1 kilo for 3,000 calories per kilogram. And then we're going to talk about the ketchup chips. 300 calories per at 0.1 kilogram. Again, 3,000 calories per 1 kilogram of carry weight. Now, the thing about these three is I know that none of these give you food poisoning. At least I've never gotten food poisoning off any of them. If anybody ever has, please let me know in the comments. So you can eat these at pretty much any condition and get the full caloric intake, but again, you are going to lose water. The one I couldn't remember if I'd ever gotten food poisoning from is the jerky. This is pretty plentiful stuff, as are the first three. This is 350 calories at 0.1 kilo, so 3,500 calories. Again, these four are extremely common, so just know you should be able to get these in bulk and be able to survive for a couple of days. Especially in the beginning, this is really good survival food. What I was a little bit disappointed with was the peanut butter, because it looks great when you first look at it. 900 calories, and then it's 0.5 kilograms, half a kilogram each. So you're only getting 1,800 calories per kilogram of carry weight, so not that good. My recommendation is to go ahead and eat this if you need to eat when you find it, because it's really just not worth it to carry it around. It weighs a little bit more than the benefit, but it looks great on paper. Next up is going to be the pork and beans. This is the first of our canned goods. 600 calories per at a quarter kilogram gives you 2,400 calories per kilogram of carry weight. Again, kind of not all that good, but in a pinch, this is something you would want to eat. So maybe you needed a can to make some water. This would be good for that at the very least. Last up is one of the best survival foods in the game, being the salty crackers. Now, it's kind of in the title there, right? Salty crackers. You're obviously going to lose water with these, but they're 600 calories and only 0.1 kilogram of carry weight, meaning if you had 10 of these, 6,000 calories. That is 4, 5, 6, 7 days worth of calories that you would have depending on what difficulty level you're playing at. The problem is you're just not going to get these in bulk very often. Even on my main save on Voyager, I think I've only got 25 or 30 of these, and I never ate a single cracker. I've found all of them in the world, but they are excellent survival food. But again, you need water to make sure that you don't run dry on that front. Next up is going to be the liquid positive category, meaning you not only get the caloric intake that's advertised for each one of these items, but you also get added liquid. So this is going to be a little bit different for me. I'm going to weigh these a bit different. 2,000 or 3,000 calories on these means more because you're getting liquid with it. So just know that if you need food and you don't need water, you can eat these, but you're not getting the maximum benefit out of each of these items unless you need both. To get started, let's talk about the condensed milk. 750 calories per, 0.25 kilograms means 3,000 calories per kilogram of carry weight. That's pretty good considering you get both. I know in other categories I've said 3K is not all that great, but considering you get water with this, I'd give it a little bit of slack. The one that I'm not a huge fan of is the dog food, and that's because it's 500 calories and 0.3 kilograms, and again, this isn't going to equal out to exactly 1 kilogram of carry weight, but we're going to call it 1,500 calories. I think it's a little disgusting you get water for this, but when it comes to bang for your buck or bang for your carry weight, this isn't going to be among the top items on the list. What is among the top items on the list, and this surprised me the most, is the sardines. 300 calories per and only 0.1 kilograms. This is really good considering it gives you liquid, kind of like the condensed milk. If you spawn in some place like Bleak Inlet, which I don't recommend for a new player, but you can go to the cannery and you can find these all over the place there. This is going to give you, again, food and water, so it really is a pretty good item. What isn't a very good item, and it's kind of one of the faces of the game, and that kind of disappoints me, is the peaches. 450 calories looks nice, but it's half a kilogram each, meaning you only get 900 calories per kilo. So if you need food and water, you find some of these, I'd eat them. Otherwise, unless you're bringing something back to a location inside the region and you're planning to maybe loot a couple of POIs and go back to your main base, really not worth carrying around. Finally, we're going to get the tomato soup. This one's also pretty disappointing at 300 calories and 0.25 kilograms. It's only 1,200 calories. So there are better options, but again, you do get liquid out of this, so it's not bad. It's better than some of the other options that either stay neutral or take water away. Before I get into more renewable stuff, which is going to be the meats and some other things, I do want to touch on the different foods that you can craft and cook and some of the recipes you can find. We're not going to get detailed on this, but New players, you've already got this stuff. Not everybody does though. You would have had to have bought the DLC if you'd had the game for a while, but now you can get, if you've got that DLC, things like flour, oil, oats, salt, potatoes, which you can't eat by themselves, but they can be cooked into baked potatoes. These are going to be somewhere in the, I don't know, 1,500 calorie per kilo carry weight capacity. There's also acorns under certain trees now that can be cooked and turned into coffee, or also made into pancakes. And then carrots can be eaten on their own, 175 calories per 0.1 kilogram. So 1,750 kilograms if you found a stack of 10 of these, or I'm sorry, 750 calories if you found a stack of 10 of these. Something not to carry around with you is going to be the broth. You can make this with ptarmigan meat, 680 calories, but it's, you know, 0.8 kilograms. It's pretty heavy stuff. It's better to kind of keep this at your main base and use your ingredients. You'll either need a skillet or a cooking pot for these different recipes, but to do that, you just come in. You've got some that are kind of based on your cooking level, and then you'll also have some that you find in different regions of the map. I'm not going to be able to tell you in this video where each of those are at, but just know that they're out there, and it's going to require different ingredients to make those. So kind of keep maybe some of the cooking oil and flour and things like that in your main base, and you'll be able to make some of those. Some of those actually have good hidden benefits. I know the venison pie gives you a little extra carry weight, which is kind of nice sometimes if you know you're running just a little bit heavy. Next, I want to talk about the more renewable food sources when it comes to the long dark. And this is what you should be aiming for specifically as a new player, pretty much from early game to mid game and all the way to late game, because this is going to be what sustains you for a very long run once you learn to survive and kind of learn the mechanics. If you get a weapon or something on day one, great, because you can start getting in the meat, and that's where you can really get some decent value out of your carry weight, because this is absolutely renewable. You can do this until the end of time as long as you have arrows or ammo. That's just the way that it is. We'll start off with ptarmigan. This is 500 calories per kilo. This will also make that broth that we talked about a moment ago. Rabbit, also 500 calories per kilo. It's also fair to note that I have this on the most basic setting when it comes to cooking, at cooking level 1. So you're getting the base level value, and I'll show you here in a little bit exactly how you can get better value out of that by raising your cooking level. Next up is going to be wolf meat, coming in at 800 calories per kilo. This one, though, if you're playing on Stalker and above, along with bear meat, are considered predator meat and run the risk of internal parasites. So the way to kind of get around that is to mitigate that with some other meats or other foods, and you can mix some of this stuff in until you hit cooking level 5, in which case the internal parasites aren't a thing anymore. Next up is going to be venison. This is a staple for me pretty much early game. You can hunt this with a pistol or with a bow. The risk of hunting this with a bow and arrow is if you don't get a one-shot kill, it could run off with your arrow and you got to track it down. But this comes in at 900 calories. If you're lucky enough to be able to get a bear, it also starts off at 900 calories. And then moose meat starts off at 900 calories. And that seems really out of whack. And with these 4 meats in particular, I'm going to show you in just a second how you can kind of benefit that with the cooking level. Next up, I want to talk about fish, because the real benefit of fish isn't necessarily the caloric intake. It's the vitamin C that you're going to get from cooking these and then eating them. This is also a source of oil for your lamp fuel. So if you need more lantern fuel, cooking each fish will give you a certain amount of lantern fuel, which is a pretty nice benefit, and it's going to stave off scurvy for you. So, and it's pretty easy to fish. You just need a cured gut to make line, and then you need scrap metal to make hooks, and then you craft those together for fishing tackle. And I've already talked about fishing in another video, but we may do a more detailed, well, how I fish and why I fish and when I fish to kind of stave off scurvy in my main save. And you can kind of notice here too, like the smallmouth, it's 2.6 kilograms and only 779 calories. Fish are going to vary a lot, and I'm not going to be able to show you all the different varieties of fish. I just wanted to pick up a couple to kind of give you an idea. The weight will go down a little bit when you cook them, but ideally when it comes to, you know, carry weight, when we're talking about value, you're not getting a ton of value out of this in carry weight. But I do want to go over to my main save and show you where this stuff kind of levels up to when you get there. So here we are on my main save at day 654, which is by far my longest run ever. And I do want to mention that there are a couple other food items that we really didn't touch on earlier. Canned corn only appears in the signal void bunkers. It's 295 calories and 0.3 kilos per can. Really, it's better used in recipes. Same what goes with the ham, also found in the Signal Void bunkers, 550 calories and 0.4 kilos of carry weight. And as you can see, I'm stocked, man. There's no end in sight when it comes to this run, unless I do something stupid. But what I'm here to talk about is the benefits of cooking level 5. Here we have a wolf steak. Now, even though it's ruined, you see it went from 800 to 875 calories because it was cooked at cooking level 5. Venison goes from 900 to 1,000 calories. Same, cooking level 5. Bear meat, 1,125 calories. Moose meat, 1,125 calories. So just know as you level up and you get the cooking level up, you're going to get more benefit. You know, like this per kilo, late game, let's say you've eaten all the canned goods in the world, this is going to be what you want to get to, is trying to get moose meat or bear meat or even venison at 1,000 calories per kilo, because that's going to really sustain you as you go along, and it's totally renewable. Finally, I want to talk about drinks, and not that this is superfood or anything, but it's kind of the opposite of the liquid positive ones, where these are calorie positive ones, because these are more geared towards liquid, but you also get calories every time you drink one of these. 250 calories on the sodas to be exact. So just know that these are best consumed again when you need both. And again, you're going to get more liquid than calorie, but still, it's a really nice dual benefit. And then there's the other drinks. And again, all these can be served hot. Coffee is going to give you additional stamina as well as 100 calories. And if you serve it hot, it's going to give you a warm-up bonus. Same goes for the herbal tea. Again, 100 calories and a warm-up bonus. And this will help you sleep too. Pretty nice. Reishi tea. This one is more like an antibiotic, but again, when you drink it, you get 100 calories. The burdock tea is again an antibiotic, 100 calories. You have the birch bark tea, which will help you get condition back. It's 100 calories as well. And then we have the rosehip tea. This one's more of a painkiller. So if you didn't have painkillers, you can do this. I commonly see the higher end players that play on Interloper not really use these so much for the medicinal purposes, but more for putting them around a fire for when they're traveling, because the warming up bonus really helps, especially on the higher difficulties, to stay warm when you're doing your traveling, because gear and loot is just so much more scarce in those higher difficulties. And again, remember, in a pinch, broth can always be consumed and it will give you liquid and calories. 680 calories to be exact, but it's heavy, so it would be one of those drink when you find it kind of situations. The last item, and I just couldn't find this for that new save this morning because I needed a heavy hammer to make it, was the acorn coffee. This actually has 125 calories, and when served warm, you get a warming up bonus, and it works the same as regular coffee other than that, but you just get a few more calories. This is a more involved process though. You need to find the acorns and then cook the acorns, and then you need to smash the acorns with a heavy hammer, and then once you've got it into ground, you can make the acorn coffee. But this works the same as coffee, but again, this is kind of a finite resource, but it's still nice to have around. And that's about it. I want to thank everybody that's made it this far in the video for hanging around and taking this deep dive into the foods of the Long Dark. I really hope this helps out some new players, and some of you experienced people, I hope this helped you out as well. Because even I learned a little something in here, and I play on a lower difficulty, but I've been playing for a while, and honestly, the big surprise of today was the sardines. I just didn't even realize that if you had those in, say, a stack of 10, that you got those kind of calories for something that little. But if you guys like this kind of content, like the video and subscribe, because I've got tons more coming, including Dune Awakening coming up here in a few weeks. I also play a little Conan Exiles. And, you know, if you want to hit the bell, you'll be able to know when I go live for the Long Dark, which we've been doing quite a bit here lately. And you can expect to see more of that over the next few weeks until Dune comes out. And even then, we're going to be playing Long Dark because it's one of my favorite games ever. But until next time, guys, thanks for sticking around with me, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.